I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Monogatari Second Season, Episode 2. Last episode, where's Aragi? I don't know. We got a text from him. Hanekawa slept in the cram school. That was safe. But now, we're at Sunagahara.
Yeah, and I feel like we're thinking at the moment, like, is this going to be what Monogatari Second Season is? Is no Aragi around, at least for a decent bit of the content, and mainly have Senjugahara working with Hanekawa to deal with the White Tiger?
I like it. At least, like, the White Tiger itself could be dealt without Aragi, and then he rejoins the cast, and we learn about what he's doing, where he's at. I think he has the backpack of Hachikuji.
I think at the moment we're probably on the same page with being really excited by this development.
Definitely.
It doesn't, like, obviously we love Aragi and we love seeing him on screen and him interact with the cast of characters. But there's something really special that was mainly built through Nisemonogatari in terms of what this friendship and connection between Hanekawa and Senjugahara is and can be, that is amazing to kind of get the boyfriend out of the way so we can actually see, you know, what their relationship's like.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
Perfect timing. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. In a bad sort of way. Is nothing in comparison. Imposter to justice. Really? Amazing to see the bee and the phoenix on the board. The reason! Okay. I like to imagine that she was on his desk in the same way that he was on her desk in Neko. How dare you? Aww. That was awesome. I would rather wake up here than the cram school. Needed to recoup from being awake last night. Hot. Wow. Oh. Envious. Incapable of hating her. Interesting. That is interesting. I'm always going through the dilemma about hair length. Agreed. It was all a ploy. It was all a plan. Just to sleep together. It's okay. It's alright. It's all good. I won't do a thing. Aww. To a room. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm like starting to cry.
私神経質だから普段眠りは浅い方なんだけれど、なんだかぐっすり眠れたわ。羽川さん、お腹空かない？朝ごはんじゃないわね。お昼ご飯でも作ろうと思うんだけれど、苦手な食べ物ってある？ありません。そう。
That fits in her character.
ところで羽川さん。
She could be allergic to something and still eat it.
もやしになるのよ。それを知って以来、もやしが美味しくて美味しくて。羽川さん、料理とかする人？する。
They all have different dishes, right?
で作っていたわ。そう、私にもそういう時期があったわ。いただきます。いただきます。ララギ君にはあまり喜んでもらえなかったから、正直酷評も覚悟していた。
Ungrateful of him.
酷評って私は美味しいと思う。味覚って個人差あるからね。つまり私と羽川さんの好みは味の好みも男の好み。戦場ヶ原さん。だからあなたはそういうことに赤裸々すぎ。
I enjoy it. Keeps you on your toes.
True. Just get it out of the way.
荒木君のどこが好きかって話でもする？いえ、その思い切り方会話が外に漏れた時に奴が調子に乗るからしない方がいいわ。そうね。荒木君の嫌いかという話をしましょう。乗った。そろそろ今後の話をしましょうか、羽川さん。
We don't even get to hear it.
だから羽川さんの今後よ。私の家に泊まってもらうとして、明日からどうする？何か当てはある？当てはない。そう。
At least she's honest.
明日以降も泊まっていってほしいんだけれど、戦場ヶ原家は見ての通りの手狭さだから、さすがに羽川さんに明日帰ってくるお父さんと同じ部屋で寝起き。確かにそれは。ちなみに羽川さんの読みでは、羽川家の今後ってどうなるの？火災保険が下りるから。
Calling them the Hanakawa is not like your parents.
借家で生活することになるでしょうね。そう。じゃあ、羽川さん、いいアイディアがあるんだけど。
Yes.
いいアイディア？ご両親が借家先を決めるまでかかっても1週間というところでしょう。それくらいの間なら、まあなんとかできると思うの。聞きたい。ぜひ聞かせて。さあ、どうしようかな。言おうかな。言わないでおこうかな。
Keep it a secret.
構成して淡白だった性格が戦場ヶ原さんだった。
The one that's changed, the one that's matured.
Yeah.
But really, it's the new and improved.
Oh God.
説明するまでもにゃく、もう分かったと思うが、ご主人、つまり羽川翼が寝た時にショーが飛んでいるのは、こうやって俺が登場していたからにゃ。
Uh-oh.
15年間暮らした家が全焼してしまったというのは、凄まじい衝撃をご主人の
That makes sense.
するところの心に与えてしまったのにゃ。だから俺が出てきた。ブラック羽川、見たびと。こうして俺が切り離されるだけで、ご主人本人にとってはそれが安らぎ。
What does a cat do when it meets a tiger, Anna? God, this music's so good.
こっちかにゃ。いたにゃ。
Who are we gonna play a prank on? Whoa. The tiger. Holy shit.
New and improved.
触り猫で、まあ、
More or less.
まあそんなに違うわけでもにゃい。
So fitting.
全然違うように思うがな。
まあそう言われると一言もにゃいにゃん。いろいろあるんだよ、俺みたいなやつにも。
そうか。まあお前のことなんかどうでもいい。
Oh.
しかし何の用かは聞かねばならんな。我が輩の行く手を遮る意味を動詞の会たるお前がわからない。
Same type of oddity.
動詞の会？
ではお前はどうしてそこに立っている？
いや単に宣言しに来ただけにゃ。だがもしもこれ以上お前が俺のご主人に害をにゃすようなことがあれば、
Then you already have.
お前を殺す。
お前あの娘か。あの娘に取り付いているのか。
取り付いているわけじゃにゃいにゃ。 まっとうにゃ触り猫にゃらそうにゃんだろうけどにゃ。俺は
More like she
Pretty
possessed
much the
you.
girl herself.
どうでもいい。怪異の特性というものは抑えられるものではない。見た方の問題だ。
Reap what they sow.
お前のご主人とやらが我が輩を見た。重要なのはそれだ。
Holy shit, that's a jump back. Oh my god.
だだ。その女、あの女は我が輩を見た。それだけが寛容、それだけが重要だ。我が輩は。
Oh, I have already begun. But what does it mean? What does it do? What time of day does it take appearance?
部屋に入る前に足を拭いてくれる。寝起きはいい方なのよ。神経質だから。そう言わなかったっけ？俺が言われたわけじゃにゃいにゃん。
You didn't tell me.
羽川さんなんでしょ。ブラック羽川さんでいい。
Oh my god.
ま、そんにゃところにゃ。初めましての握手をしようと。お前、にゃにも聞いてにゃいのか？触ったらそれだけで相手の勢力を吸い上げてしまう。握手にゃんてとんでもにゃいにゃん。エニャジードレイン。聞いているけれど、でも一瞬で全てを吸い取るわけじゃないでしょ。よろしくね。羽川さんのことよろしく。
Oh.
なぜだろう。今度は一気に3章も飛んでいる。私が寝ている間に何があったのだ。おはよう、羽川さん。羽川さん、朝早いのね。羽川さんも一緒に走る。
I love her outfit.
いえ、じゃあ私は戦場ヶ原さんが走ってる間に朝食を作らせてもらうわ。帰ってきたら一緒に食べましょう。
You seem tired.
あら、美味しそう。
I bet Karen would like her outfit. That yellow.
羽川さん、ちょっといいかしら。なんでしょう。あ、いえ、待って。とりあえずこの、信じられない事態に、確信を持つわ。あれ？羽川さん、ドレッシングって知ってる？そりゃもちろん知ってるけど、目玉焼きにソースをかける派と醤油をかける派、あるいは
Does it tell you a lot about a person?
争いについてどう思う？バターとかジャムとかが冷蔵庫に入っている。
Oh no.
あったけど、昨日出してもらったし。
It was plain, unseasoned. Look at it all in the background.
羽川さんの食生活について。
Does she not have any specific tastes because she never felt the ability to come up with them?
お寿司に醤油はつけない。天ぷらにつゆはつけない。
What?
ヨーグルトにグラニュー糖を入れない。ハンバーグや
So she just eats everything plain.
書かない。
Is that to be like the easiest person ever?
おにぎりに塩は混ぜない。食後のコーヒー、お砂糖はおいくつ？ブラックでお願いします。はい。ああ、わかったわかった。ごめんなさい。戦場ヶ原さんはドレッシングを。
It isn't
I
about that.
agree with Hanekawa here, though, with salad.
いえ、私はドレッシングをかけない派の存在を今まで認識していなかったのよ。プレーンな目玉焼きというのも初めて見たし、パンがパンのままゴロッと出てきたのも初めてだわ。
Yeah.
料理の味付けに対し拒絶的な人なの。そういうわけじゃないわよ。でも料理って味がなくても美味しいじゃない。決め手となる発言が登場したわ。問うに落ちず、語るに落ちるとはこのこと。ごちそうさまでした。あなたと味の好みが似ているという話は全面的に取り消すわ。家庭の味ね。でもそういうわけじゃなくて、羽川さんはどんな味でも
You accept everything and you're not picky.
極端に言えば食べられて栄養を取れればそれでいいっていうか、いや栄養が取れなくとも腹にたまればいいのかしら。人をそんな戦士みたいに言わないでよ。味がわかる分厄介よね。素材の味を楽しんでるってわけでもないというのなら、結局は器が大きい。
How tolerant you are.
そういう生き方ってどうかとは思うわよ。食生活に限ったことじゃなくて、あなたってこう何でもかんでも受け入れちゃう。 嫌いなものがあるっていうのは好きなものがあるのと同じく
I love that.
大切なことじゃない。それなのにあなたは何でもかんでも受け入れちゃうじゃない。私のこともそうなのかもしれないし、荒木くんのこともそうなのかもしれないなんて思うんだけれど、味の好みは似通っているのではなく、私の羽川さんの好みが包み込んでいるというだけのことだったのね。いえ、羽川さんのは好みとは言えないかもしれないわ。だって何でもどれでも好きなんじゃ、どれも同じみたいなものだ。
Yeah.
Indifferent then.
戦場ヶ原さんが私の目を見つめたままで言う。あなた本当に荒木くんのこと好きだったの？それは少しだけ昔みたいな平坦な口調だった。今でも荒木くんが好きだってもう一回言える？
Or is it just that it would make sense to like Araragi?
Man.
In the same way that Senjigahara said that if someone came and saved her, a white knight, a prince, she probably would have liked anyone.
It's just like Tsukihi and Araragi's conversation that they had about Hanekawa.
Are you doing it just because it's seemingly the right thing to do, which is to fall for someone that comes to your aid and is a good friend to you?
See, I don't know, because, like, think about the beginning of this episode and how we're rephrasing how and why and when we started to like Araragi and the things about him.
It takes me back to Kizu Monogatari when we got that idea of like how interested in otherworldly things like vampires Hanekawa was.
Yeah, but why, right? Because Araragi was already doing it?
Right. Do we have similar tastes because we have similar tastes, or are your tastes just so broad and indifferent to any actual specificity that I just end up falling in there? Your dislike for salad dressings and dips is not the same.
Okay, that was Monogatari Second Season, Episode 2. This episode was oriented very similar to last episode, and I loved it.
Seems like that's what this is gonna be. I don't know how long Monogatari's second season is, but it definitely at least feels like until the tiger is resolved, we will probably not have Araragi.
Yeah. I was more talking even like structure of the episode, right? Especially where we leave off with a very similar question that Senjigahara is asking to Hanekawa.
I mean, honestly, this is the perfect time to be asking questions like this. When he's not around, you know, we're able to build a relationship together. I like the idea that we need to kind of clear that air in order to actually have a connection in a relationship. Like, we can't just leave those things, like, unsaid, untalked about, like, air out the dirty laundry, if you will.
It's a really hard question for me as a viewer right now to answer, if like confidently, at where Hanekawa's at with her feelings.
Her
because
true feelings.
She, I don't think, knows to the very like specific degree of what the truth is. But as a viewer, I'm like, I could see the love for Araragi being derived from she should love Araragi, especially after the events of what happened, right? Like, if that night, right? That is who Araragi was to Hanekawa, and playing within Hanekawa's character and how she goes about life. Therefore, she should love Araragi, right? Of course she does. That's the right thing for her to do, as it would be in any aspect of her life. But I think that doesn't necessarily need to be untrue. Like, we get the idea hammered into us time and time again about how lack of a person Hanekawa is and has been made to be, right? And is just willing to be whatever people want of her or expect of her.
It was the safest kind of road for her to go down in order to hold on to at least some semblance of sanity and kind of, you know, keep the peace, if you will, around her as much as possible.
I think that what we're trying to figure out or desire from Hanekawa is her trying to find herself and draw the lines in the sand for herself, figure out her likes and dislikes. And that comes from a place of almost wanting to be like, okay, Hanekawa, wake up. You're about to start your life and you don't have to be this way anymore. You're better than this. You were playing a victim to a certain extent and you're over that now, right? No, because that you can't erase what has been Hanekawa, even if it was manufactured. It, to a certain extent, is part of you going forward. And you have to figure out what percentage part of you it is. That's why I don't feel confident with if I feel like that love for Araragi is because it is what should be there or is because what is there.
Okay. I feel like with what you've just said, there are two things that I'm being kind of pulled in two different directions to attach, to go on from things that you've brought up and said. I'm going to at first go with just what we started the conversation out with, which was how does she actually feel about Araragi? When we get the kind of how do you dress your salads, what do you put on your eggs scenario in this episode, scene in this episode, it definitely gives the idea of you are, as Senjigahara said, incredibly tolerant. We could also think of it as, well, if you had specific sauces you liked, that means, and your family members didn't have those same tastes, we could probably open our fridge and see a bazillion different sauces and dips and spreads and things that we like but someone else of our household doesn't like. Think about the grocery bills with that. Like, if Hanekawa likes anything, has any food interest, if we just focus in on the food, that would mean the parents would then have to go buy those other groceries for her. There would be things in the house that would be for her. We already know there was nothing in the home that was for her.
Other than her own cooking utensils.
Other than the fact that she had her own separate dishes to use, which is a crazy thing to start to unpack. Like, okay, why was she not allowed to cook with the same cookware? We're gonna go out and buy something just so she's not utilizing the same things that we are. Like, what is the actual story there? That is intriguing to me. But I would want to go into the idea of, from the kind of sauce and dip conversation, into how we are viewing, as Hanekawa, Senjigahara in this episode. This idea that she is more annoying now, is much more mature now. She's definitely changed. The way that she's acting is reminding Hanekawa and us as similar to Aragi in some sense. And I feel like that brings up the idea of emulating people that you love. Mm-hmm. When you love someone, you're friends with someone, your family members, you, without trying, will end up acting or saying things that are similar to them. And Senjigahara is emulating things, whether she's trying, and I'm not saying she's like intending to, like it's forced. It's not forced at all in my belief of the situation. And Hanekawa manufactures this emulation to some degree in terms of, like, I would say it's more like assimilate. Like, she assimilates into other people around her, the way that they act, the way that they talk. And I could even see this of happening way early on in her interactions with Araragi, because she seems to have like an extensive knowledge of how he was even before what happened to him, before Golden Week, before the spring break. Mm-hmm. That he's always been like this person that was a justice fighter in a way that was probably even more impressive than the Fire Sisters. And when we see her being so caring for him during Kizu Monogatari, so around, yes, we have the idea that she just didn't want to be home at night, but she's also like really incredibly involved. And she says, oh, interested in like vampires, interested in the otherworldliness. Is she already developing feelings? Like, what's going on here? And I feel like it definitely opens up this conversation with the sauces being brought up of like, how much is this her putting on something that she's like, oh, well, other people would emulate things about him if they loved him, so here we go. I'm also going to act in a way that someone that loved Araragi would act.
Okay.
So that's like one point.
What did you want to talk about? What you had pulled up on the screen so I can look around for other stuff?
Yeah, I was going to go to the other thing that you had kind of brought up, but what I had brought up on the screen does kind of go into a little bit of what I had just talked about, so we can totally watch that. I pulled up a scene from like 4 minutes in, and it starts with the line, "When I think about the weight of everything she's overcome recently, I feel ashamed that I haven't been able to overcome my own problems. Even though I went through the same things, I haven't overcome a thing. Despite everything I went through during Golden Week and on the eve of the cultural festival, I haven't matured at all. I haven't changed at all."
That's why I felt very envious of Senjigahara.
And yet she couldn't bring herself. She's incapable of hating her. That's why I like her and I'm basically incapable of hating her.
But, like, I feel like that's...
It's hard to hear lines like that from Hanakawa because we can't look at it the same way where someone would be... We can't read it as if Senjigahara was saying this about someone else.
This sounds so stupid, but when I hear this from Hanakawa, right? When I hear... That's why I felt very envious of Senjigahara. That's why I like her and am basically incapable of hating her. When I hear that, I'm like... You're telling me that you hate Senjigahara. Like obviously not.
There could be resentment.
No, but obviously not, right? But when she's saying that she's envious of her, we're trying, like, that almost, it's an inner thought, but it completely, it negates what point Senjigahara was making in a sense. Like, when she's saying you need to have things that you hate, right? You need to have feelings and opinions on things. This is something that she actually is identifying as being envious of something has repercussions emotionally. Like somebody hypothetically could be envious of Senjigahara and her growth so that you're jealous of her and you could turn that into a hate. That could hypothetically exist. It's not what's happening.
It would be to have strong emotions.
Yeah.
And I think that actually brings up the other point that I was going to talk about from the first things that you were saying during the discussion, and that is the consequences of the house burning down. That was a blow that was dealt to her. Some people would probably read that situation as, well, wouldn't that be freeing? Wouldn't this house that you've suffered and the trauma that you've been through under the roof of that house and it now being gone and disappeared, wouldn't that almost feel like a relief? Wouldn't that feel freeing? And I can totally understand why Black Hanakawa was like calling it what I view it is a blow. That is why Black Hanakawa was here protecting her master right now. Is that not only protecting her master because she knows the oddity that's at play going on right now, but to her mental state from what the world Hanakawa can view. The world Hanakawa can view is just the house burning down and her deal with her parents. Not what's going on at night when Black Hanakawa goes out and meets up with the tiger. Black Hanakawa is very aware that the burning down of the house was not how some people would view it as freeing for Hanakawa. It's an unknown territory. It's there's something about like finding comfort in what you've just always been doing. But also I feel like it hurts nonetheless. It reopens wounds for something to happen with something that caused you trauma, even if that wouldn't make sense to some people. And I think you could bring up Senjigahara and Kaiki's conversation at the very end of Nisei when he gives her the information about what happened to the man. Yeah. And that idea of like, it doesn't feel better. It's not something that's going to feel better. If anything, it has a chance of feeling nothingness, or it hurts. Yeah. For some reason that maybe you don't even understand yourself. Man. It's an uncomfortable place to be in. Yeah.
Like, I think coming out of this episode, obviously I want to talk and think about what's going to happen, what's happening with Hanakawa, but how can I not just be morbidly curious about what Araragi went through the first year and like what led him to
become a loser?
Yeah, like, and I think that's really interesting because define loser, right? I think from how we saw it within our from Aragi's perspective and from Hanakawa's, he just was antisocial. He didn't want friends. And God, that makes me so curious as to what the details of that action were.
Would we ever get that? Would that be the true kind of prelude, the true prequel to any content?
He's
that
even
we've seen
more
thus
unwilling to talk about it than he is with Spring Break. I feel like we have to know at a certain point, but I don't know when it would come.
It makes me want to go back to Kizu and watch the beginning of it to kind of try to get back into his mindset before he even met Shinobu.
Yeah.
To try to even guess what his life has been like before then.
Was it something that left him with a sense of betrayal and not wanting to trust others, ergo not wanting to have friends? I have no, God, I'm so curious.
Also, I think it would have to be whatever is his mindset when it comes to his sisters and wanting them to, quit their justice business.
You think?
It could be, that he's seen something on the other side of things, how things could go wrong, how things could go, and you end up hurting it as a person in the way that he might have been hurt, and he doesn't want that for them. That idea that he might have viewed himself originally as an imposter to justice from whatever transpired, and he doesn't want the same thing for them.
I really would like to know what conversation actually happened when talking about what do you hate about Araragi. We switched from what do you love because of how he'd react and get a big head to what you hate about it. And Hanakawa seemed very into it. Oh, okay, I'm down, right? But that also is something that you have to think about and recontextualize with the end of the episode when Senjukahara says, don't you think having things you hate is just as important as having things that you like? If that conversation did happen, obviously there are things that Hanakawa can point out that she hates. But
that is a good way to read that line.
Is it things that Hanakawa hates, or is it things that Hanakawa should hate? You know?
Ooh, right. And we have no way of knowing. We have no way of knowing whether... Okay, so what you need to be able to change, as Hanakawa has painted this picture, that everyone else around her is maturing and changing in a way that she has yet to do. She has not overcome what she needs to overcome. Well, she's already at the step where she deems that there needs to be a change. She deems that she needs to overcome some things, and she knows what those things are. She's already at the step of identifying what the issue is and being able to see what the path is that everyone else is walking down that she is yet to travel. And that is just getting her one step closer to actually being able to realize, not even, maybe deep down she knows what some of her likes and dislikes actually are, but she's not used to practicing them. They are not in practice. She's not used to speaking them. She's not used to feeling them because they've been pushed down.
I'm trying to figure out, at the end of the day, the thing that we're trying to figure out above all else right now is why the tiger's here, right?
Yeah. Because she saw him. She was able to see him.
But
that is why he's interacting with us, at least.
But why, right? There's always something to it. And I think I have one guess, but it all hinges on how much time Senjukahara and Hanakawa did spend together off screen. In Nisei, again, we get the idea that they have a relationship and they're communicating with each other. When did Hanakawa start feeling envious? Because in the moment of this episode, I'm like, okay, she's just putting together this thought in her head, but it could very well be after spending time that we didn't necessarily see and really getting to see Senjukahara and talk to her one-on-one without Araragi present, that she could have seen that progression through Senjukahara and not herself. And that could be a source that something, I don't know why the fuck a tiger would appear for it, but envious is such a strong feeling. And also, when you were talking a second ago, I let this play out. That's why I like her and I'm basically incapable of hating her. The line after it is, I felt that way, honestly. And I feel like that's a really, nail in the coffin. Okay, we have to take that seriously.
So the very end of Monogatari, when Black Hanakawa kind of comes to us for the first time as far as we knew, because that's how we watched it, the watch order we watched it in, it is Aragi's fault. And we know because of the feelings that Hanakawa has. That's kind of when we start to piece together the feelings that Hanakawa has, kind of like validation in those feelings. And as you kind of brought up, like, well, why would the tiger appear at a time here? We're getting closer to Senjigahara. Aragi and Senjigahara, we get the multiple times in this episode, it's like boyfriend. Like that idea, they are in a relationship. That is an established thing. They both have mutual feelings for each other. We are, from this episode to last episode, questioning Hanakawa's feelings, trying to get to the root of it. Do you really love him? And love is something that out of anything has the power to make a tolerant person not be so tolerant. So the tiger, when he appears, he says the people that see us reap what they sow.
Yeah.
So if she's feeling envious, and we know the power for her feelings towards Aragi bringing Black Hanakawa out at the end of Bakemonogatari, and then now we're seeing the tiger here, and we're getting heavy emphasis on the idea that the person that you have feelings for is with someone else.
Yeah.
That also loves them, but you also care about the person that they're dating too and want to have a friendship with them. You are in the toughest situation I have ever seen. As a person, like, I can't even imagine being that person that, wow, I love you and your girlfriend together. I love you. I love your girlfriend, and we're really good friends. Like, that triangle, the feelings that Hanakawa, the stress she'd be under.
Yeah.
It, to me, would make sense that... Because, honestly, we get the idea that the cat is, like, a pity symbol.
Well,
like,
the cat's not the cat anymore, but is the cat, right? Like there's the evolution of where we presently are with Hanakawa.
I was bringing up as the idea of, isn't Hanakawa painting a picture of, like, viewer, aren't I really pitiable? Not only has all of this shit happened to me, and now I'm out of a house and home, the guy I love is in a relationship with someone else. I'm finally at a place where I want to grow as a person, want to change, and I want to be able to know what my likes and dislikes are, experience the world as everyone else does, but I can't have him. You know, isn't that pitiable?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Just cutting me loose like this grants my Meowster great peace of mind. Then, what does it say on screen? Symbol of fatigue. I love the pose. At least my Meowster is never per second hater. Black. We see the key turn. Do we get any dialogue before we actually see the tiger? Found you, right?
That's why we're going out at night.
Interesting.
It definitely is confirmation, even more so. Not only are we getting Hanakawa's words, but we're getting Black Hanakawa's words to solidify for us that she loves Senjigahara. And even if she feels envious, like, she can't hate her. In no way does she actually hate her. And that's how she felt, honestly. Black Hanakawa basically tells us the same thing.
I mean, Black Hanakawa's Hanakawa, right? I feel like it's just, if Hanakawa was trying to take on the tiger and dealt with that in any way without Black Hanakawa being involved, there would have been something wrong. Like, the development wouldn't have been true. Because Hanakawa has been established to have this part of her and it be merged with her to a certain extent now. That any change that Hanakawa needs to go through or will go through needs to happen through both of them. Black Hanakawa completely fucking blew my mind this episode. The time skips and, like, the periods of time that
the
she...
chapters that disappeared.
She commands... Like, I feel like she directed this episode. She decided the pacing and what we saw when, and it is so, like, meta that I can't even figure out the right words to describe my feelings towards it. I love it to death, but, like, god damn it. What do we look like? Do we look like the intro? Like Hanakawa after we deal with this and we're tiger mixed with cat? Like, what...
How do we deal with the tiger, I think, is a really big
Does it
question.
come down to envy? If it is envy, and from that envious of Senjigahara, then what would need to be happening for her to be able to address the envy.
I feel like tigers are very proud creatures. I feel
Yeah.
like you could also think of it as like, while this little cat was pitiable, small, this tiger is more ferocious, more like this has pride in itself. Maybe there's something that like once you try to actually think about ripping off that band-aid of changing, it would be the bigger thing that's like coming in to maybe try to stop you from actually changing. I feel like also would we handle the tiger in the same way as the cat in terms of merging together? Would Hanakawa want to take this as you presented yourself because I reap what I sow, I saw you. Therefore, take you into me and become another version of myself.
We're also told, like, okay, the idea of what the week is going to be, Senjukahara's idea, we skip around a bit. And then what I love, I think my favorite part of the episode was Senjukahara interacting with Block Hanakawa. And I'm like, what the fuck happened after? Like, what happened before Hanakawa woke up? Let me hear more what was said, you know?
God, that like handshake and
hands.
being like, thank you for taking care of her.
Yeah. You're Hanakawa, what do you think you're doing? Surely you can shake hands. It's so powerful. Take care of Hanakawa. There's trust there, you know? Mm-hmm. Why? We skipped 3 whole chapters this time. What happened while I was asleep? Damn. All right. Do you have anything?
I think at this point I'm incredibly curious about how we're actually going to deal with the tiger oddity. I feel like we can definitely start answering, or at least theorizing, why the tiger is here. And we can a little bit theorize on how we would deal with the tiger, or what could, in a dangerous scenario, happen with the tiger's existence.
Yeah.
But I feel like at the moment, I'm still really enjoying that we're getting this kind of look into the world, Aragi not involved, and focusing in on something that was so unresolved from the content that we've seen thus far. And also that's so complicated as the friendship that we're seeing here.
Yeah.
In like a beautiful way.
I had 2 quick visual things I wanted to say that I really appreciated this episode. At the beginning, we had the blinks with like the intercuts of the title card. That was fantastic. And then through Hanakawa's point of view at one point, all we see is like a blur of the situation in front of us. And like that in my mind, it's because she didn't have her glasses on yet. And it's just, okay, attention to detail that Monogatari will never not have because it's Monogatari. And I love it. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And hope to see you next time.